And now to today's guest who has made it. She's a multi-award winning comedian. She's a podcaster. She's a broadcaster. She is no stranger to the top of the tower. She's now adding author to a very impressive repertoire with her new memoir. It's called Am I Having Fun Now? Anxiety, Applause and Life's Big Questions Answered. Now I have to tell you that pretty much they're all answered. They're all in there. Welcome. Suzi Ruffell, lovely to see you.
Hello, it's very nice to be here.
And
thanks for having me.
Congratulations on your book. I mean, it's in some ways it's a manual, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a great way of putting it.
At what point did you think I've got to put this down now? Because clearly your head was bubbling with thoughts and ideas and theories and philosophical angst and everything else.
Yeah, I'd say the deadline. You know, you go. I've got to stop at some point. But it was. I loved writing it.
Did you?
And I think the thing is, so when I sort of said, "Oh, I'm going to do a book," and I got like a deal to do it, a really good friend of mine, a fellow stand-up, said, "You're either going to love it or you're going to hate it as a comic." Because the thing is, when you're a stand-up, you'll write the material, and routinely I will go on stage that night and try that bit, and you get an instant response to whether this is good.
Yeah.
Whereas with a book, you spend, 8 or 9 months writing it,
Wondering.
and then you put it out,
Yeah.
and then you just wait.
Yeah.
So it's a really different process, but I loved writing it. It was a really cathartic, but also enjoyable experience. When you're writing stand-up, you're always on your way to a punchline.
Yeah.
Whereas, I had a lot more room
to breathe.
Yeah, and to think about different things and to excavate subjects. And I didn't need to end it with a punchline. I could just end it with a question or a thought. Or, I think there's definitely funny moments through the book.
Of course.
But it just, there was breathing space, which was lovely.
There was something that really struck me, which was you got to a point which I thought was intriguing. I think people will really learn from this in their own lives, where you were going. You were offering something, a product, if you want to call it that, and a show and an act, quote unquote, that was doing fine until somebody said, why don't you try the bit where you're just you?
Yes.
And that landing on what's called authenticity now, which is the most relatable of all. Tell me about that point about being told that.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't an easy thing for whoever said that to you to say.
No, and that's right, that's my agent, Flo. So I'd been doing okay as a stand-up. I wasn't... This is, coming up for like maybe 8 or 9 years ago. I was doing pretty well as a stand-up. I was doing okay. I was opening for people like Josh Widdicombe on tour, or working with Ramesh on tour. But I hadn't quite got I didn't feel like the audience were really connecting with me. I didn't feel... I didn't think I would stick long in their memory.
Yes.
For want of a better word.
Which is critical for what you do.
Exactly. And then my agent, Flo, who's also become a really good friend, said to me, she said, I wonder if you put on a bit of an act on stage. I wonder if there's... she said, when you're off stage, you're sometimes funnier. When you're more relaxed, when you're not trying to be this sort of version of a comedian. And then, I did a bit of soul searching and realised, I'd basically been doing an impression of a stand-up and kind of an impression of a male stand-up, because the boys that I was coming through with was James Acaster and Ed Gamble and as I say, Ramesh and Josh.
You're feeding off that energy.
Yeah, and they were all my mates, and Joel Dommett, and we were gigging together, 3, 4, 5 nights a week.
Sure.
And I think I'd sort of taken on bits of their personas. Not that I was stealing their material or anything like that, but I was...
Magpie.
Yeah, I was just I was just having a go at kind of being more like one thing or another. And then when Flo said that to me, I hadn't realised it. And I thought, I'm really not I'm not showing my quirkiness. I'm not talking about stuff like anxiety, which was sort of quite present in my life. I'd really steered away from talking about that sort of thing.
It sounds like you're describing the cup of coffee version of you. The version you'd meet if you were to have a coffee.
Exactly.
Is that right?
Yes, exactly.
But then, a beer, and you say, I need to bring her on stage now.
I needed to bring sort of my full self on stage. If I was ever going to do anything in comedy that would make people relate to me, make people go, oh, I like her, I always go and see her. I'm always interested in what she has to do. Which is what you want as a stand-up.
You did it.
Well, that's very kind of you to say. I really hope I did. But it was... And then, of course, you only see these things with the fullness of time. And also, it's worth pointing out that I was, at that point I was in my sort of late 20s, early 30s, and I'm a little bit older now. And it was only when I started being myself on stage, it was only when I started talking about sort of my working class heritage or my anxiety or who I really am, that was the moment when I got
Yeah.
the TV spots and
Yeah.
and people started doing that thing where they go, oh, I like her, I'm going to go and see her on tour.
Amazing. You talk so warmly about, and it wasn't without difficulty, being at school and being the clown, because you're most school class clowns
Yeah.
are covering something.
Absolutely,
and
yeah.
it could be a problem at home, which wasn't in your case necessarily as much as dyslexia or whatever
Yeah.
might have been in your life, and then in comes Rowley. The great Rowley Ruffell, who couldn't have been named better.
No, that's my dad. Yeah, a legend.
There's a lovely moment, and it's a vignette where you're up in Edinburgh and you're just like so many other comedians. I mean, Henry, you say there's 2,000 shows.
There was 2,000 shows
holy
that
smoke,
year.
and you're having a crack at it. And tell them about it, because your dad just does that thing that good dads do.
I'd had a tough Edinburgh. Edinburgh is tough. I mean, it's not working a shift at the NHS, don't get me wrong. Nurses have it a lot harder. I don't want anyone thinking, this comedian, she thinks she's got it hard.
It's a fair shout. No, I know what you're saying.
It's kind of soul destroying.
I can
It's
imagine.
kind of soul destroying. I was having a month where I had a show that was okay, but I just couldn't get the people in. No one knew who I was. No one cared. I was flyering every day. I walked past this church every day, and there was a sign outside it that said, try praying, with a question mark. And I thought, in a minute, I'm going to try anything.
A wheelbarrow of candles.
Yeah, exactly. Sure, that'll do. And I went up there and I had a tough month, and I think that as a comedian I progressed, but my self-esteem took a bit of a knock, and that's okay, because it's kind of good to stay humble.
It happens.
and it's it was a great learning moment in the fullness of time.
Of course.
But my dad and mum came up to see me, and they were enormously supportive of me, as they always have been, which I'm very lucky. And I said to Dad, I don't know whether I should jack this all in. I don't know whether I should give up. And Dad said to me, no, keep at it. And one day it might be a great chapter in your book.
Wow.
Which was lovely.
I mean, isn't that... I just love that story. And I love to remember it today. Okay, stick with us, Suzi, won't you?
I'd love
Because
to.
we've got more questions to ask. Suzi Ruffell is our guest today. Am I Having Fun Now is the book / manual we're talking about at the moment. Love that. From Franz Ferdinand with Johnny Marr helping along the way. Suzi Ruffell is our guest today. Am I Having Fun Now is the name of her wonderful book that really delves deep, Suzi, into a lot of different things. One thing I loved about it was... you grafted. You're a grafter, and you had to work really hard. The pub jobs, cleaning the toilets, talking to the two shifts. I love the description of the two shifts in the pub. You had the old fellas going, that's not how you do Guinness.
Yeah, exactly that.
And then you had the young geezers coming in, and then you're going
giving
home.
it all that.
And giving
the fellas with the guys that used to come in the afternoon.
Yeah.
My dad would say they had a row of teeth like condemned houses. None of them quite matching.
Nothing matching. And then the Gile would come in.
Yeah, the Gile boys would come in from the estate agents. All right, but it was... I didn't mind it. I quite like pub work, to be honest. It's nice
precisely.
to chat to people.
But aren't those sort of jobs really important for somebody going into the business, even just to meet all walks of life? And
Ryan, don't you think it's good for everyone to have
that's
those
what I'm
jobs
saying.
at some point or another?
Yeah.
You know the people that don't you?
We've
much. All met those people where you think, you've never been the waitress.
Yeah, exactly.
You've never been the waitress or the waiter. You've never been the person saying, can I get you anything else?
You have a daughter?
Yes.
And how old is she now?
She's 5.
5. I was going to say, mine are 26 and 20. But it was key that they had jobs in fact, they still do, but jobs in the service industry when they're growing up, whether they were teenagers or older, because you get to see this is what humanity is like. You will see the best and the worst.
Yes.
And as you rightly say, if you don't have that, well, you're not prepped.
No, totally. And I think it sort of, it's good to have a job where you're the lowest lowest paid person in the room, or at some point in your life, obviously, I'm an ambitious person, but I think it was, it's really good to learn those skills, to learn how to talk to people, different kinds of people that have different backgrounds to you. And so, I did all the kind of bits and bobs jobs.
Yeah.
I worked in a pizza place, and then I worked in pubs, and I worked in I was a PA, but I was really bad because I'm really not organised. So I was a terrible PA, but I made great tea. I'm really good at making cups of tea, so I could do all of that. But it was, that was the journey to being able to do stand up.
Yeah.
That was the deal. I slogged all day in these jobs, and then I got to go and have a go at stand up in the evening
and improve it. That's what's so intriguing. The arc of your story. It's just a build, and it's trying to to learn and not to be. I think this is another important thing. You keep sending, auditions or letters of application. People listening in tonight, they've done this. They've sent job. They got nothing back. Not even an email to say no. I always find people say that the most dispiriting thing is not to be even told no, let alone no because.
Yeah, totally. It was galling. It was galling. And that's why stand-up's such a wonderful thing, in that as soon as I started having a go at stand-up, there was... on the live circuit, there's no gatekeepers. There's no, I had some autonomy when I was, there was a period where I was acting and you're just waiting for the phone to ring, you're waiting for an agent to ring you. But as soon as I started stand-up, I thought, well, I'll just book myself into gigs. I'll just have a go. I'll just write my own stuff. I'll just put something out there and have a crack at it. And I guess that's sort of, I don't want to be as bold as to say there's a message of the book, but that is what I hope people will take from it, is that having a go at stuff.
Totally. I thought
is a wonderful thing to do, whether that means, texting that person that you'd like to invite out on a date, having a go at that job, or, joining a football team. Yeah. And, and having the confidence to go and turn up to something. That's the thing, because even though, the book is about anxiety, but it is about sort of, knowing when to put those feelings to the side, if possible. I know sometimes it's not possible, but when it's possible, when you're having a day where you feel more confident, and going for stuff, having a go, failing well, and failing even better the next time until you work out how to win.
This is it. You talk to Elizabeth Day in the book, and she talks about waiting till her 40s, really, till it kicks off. And you're going, holy smart, and look at her, like yourself, flying now. I love that.
Yeah.
To end on a note of great joy is how successful you are now and how great it's worked out. And it is a love letter to persistence.
That's a lovely way of putting it. I'll take that.
Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I love that. No one said that, but I am going to say it consistently now. Because
it's a win. It's a book that sees you here, and you're not even midway through your career, but it just says, keep going. Don't. It's like that great song, "That's Life" by Sinatra. You got to keep getting back in the race.
Exactly that. You only get to be the person that's that's successful if you've also been the person that's probably failed.
Yeah, well, what a nice positive note on which to leave our chat today. Suzi, well done, delighted for you.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations on the book. It's a bumper success, and for good reason. Suzi Ruffell's book. It's called "Am I Having Fun Now?" Anxiety, applause, and life's big questions answered, which they very much are. Great to see you. Thanks for coming.